The air in the cafe was thick with the scent of burnt sugar and possibility, the late afternoon sun spilling gold onto the worn wooden table as I watched Lena trace the rim of her coffee cup, her focus anywhere but me. My heart was thudding a ridiculously fast rhythm against my ribs, a drum solo only I could hear. So, I leaned in, my voice just above a whisper, teasing. Are you going to tell me what that mysterious smile is about, or am I going to have to guess? Her head finally tilted up, and the world seemed to narrow to the intense, deep hazel of her eyes. They held a silent challenge, a playful dare that made my breath hitch. She didn't answer right away, just kept that infuriating, knowing smile, and then she did it. Her hand moved, quick and deliberate, covering mine on the table. The sudden warmth, the unexpected contact, sent a jolt right up my arm, a physical current that erased the background noise. I felt the heat rising in my face. The silence stretched, charged and heavy, the unspoken question hanging right between us. Her thumb brushed lightly over my knuckle, a simple, almost accidental movement, yet it felt as bold as a confession. You're trying to figure me out, she murmured, her voice low, a velvet stroke that sent a shiver down my spine. You think you know me. Before I could find the words, before I could breathe, she pulled her hand back, her eyes still locked on mine, and then she stood, adjusting the delicate strap of her bag over her shoulder. I should go, she said, the change in her tone a sudden, sharp shift. But don't stop guessing. She paused, her gaze dropping to the phone I'd left casually face up next to my empty mug, the screen still lit from a notification. You know, anyone could pick that up, she commented, a strange, unreadable edge to her voice, before turning and walking away. I watched her leave, feeling dizzy, the heat of her touch still tingling on my skin. I never thought twice about leaving my phone open. Why would I? We were building something real, something intense. It never occurred to me that while I gave her my trust so freely, she was guarding her own life like a fortress, and what she was hiding was about to shatter everything. That night, the cafe heat still clung to me, but the warmth of her touch had faded, replaced by a cold knot of confusion. Lena and I had been a whirlwind since we met, 6 months of late-night calls, impulsive weekend trips, and the kind of intoxicating closeness that makes you believe in fate. We were the couple, the one everyone envied for our easy laughter and immediate connection. Yet, beneath the surface of our perfect facade, the cracks were becoming impossible to ignore. It wasn't anything big, just 1,000 small exclusions. She was a master of the graceful detour. If a conversation got too deep about her past, she'd pivot with a joke or a sudden, urgent need to check her email. If I suggested meeting her friends, she'd promise. Next time. Which never arrived. My life, my phone, my past, it was all an open book to her, but hers remained sealed shut. We were cooking dinner at my place the following evening, the scent of basil and garlic filling the apartment. I watched her from across the kitchen island, the way her brow furrowed in concentration as she chopped vegetables, the soft curve of her neck. It was a domestic scene, yet the tension was palpable. She caught my eye and flashed that brilliant, disarming smile. "What are you staring at, mister?" she asked, her voice laced with that familiar playful challenge. I crossed the distance between us, leaning in until I could smell the faint floral scent of her hair. "Just wondering what goes on in that beautiful head of yours when I'm not around," I whispered, the words casual, but the underlying question heavy. She laughed, a quick, almost nervous sound, and then she did it again, the sudden, intense shift. Her hands cupped my face, drawing me closer, and her kiss was electric, a sudden blaze of passion intended to burn away all thought. It worked. For a moment, with her body pressed against mine, the knife forgotten on the cutting board, the doubt vanished. This raw, undeniable chemistry, this attraction that felt like being pulled under a powerful current, was our anchor, and perhaps, our distraction. Later, curled up on the sofa, watching a movie either of us was truly paying attention to, she sighed and rested her head on my chest. "You're thinking again," she murmured against my shirt. "Tell me." "It's just, sometimes I feel like I'm dating two different people, Lena," I admitted, my hand stroking her hair. "The one who is here, now, Who makes me feel like this? I paused, squeezing her lightly. And the one who exists outside of this apartment, who I never get to meet. She grew instantly still. That's unfair, she replied, her voice cooling instantly. She didn't pull away, but the physical intimacy felt suddenly hollowed out. I felt her reaching for her handbag, which was tucked next to the sofa. I saw her hand lightly touch her phone, which, unlike mine, was always face down, always silenced. The familiar anxiety fluttered in my chest. Why the constant need for separation? What was so important that she had to keep a part of herself locked away, especially from the person she claimed to love? That night, as she slept soundly in my arms, I lay awake, the question burning, what secret was worth risking this? The emotional conflict finally boiled over the following week at a coworker's engagement party. We were dressed impeccably, smiling for the cameras, yet every touch between us felt strained, a performance rather than a connection. I watched a colleague, Daniel, approach Lena to compliment her on her dress. It was a harmless interaction, but a fierce, ugly spike of jealousy shot through me. I didn't distrust Lena, but I suddenly distrusted the part of her that I didn't know, the part that existed outside my sphere. Lena was laughing, a genuine, unguarded laugh that I realized I rarely heard aimed solely at me anymore. Daniel leaned in close, saying something that made her blush, and in that moment, the composure Lena usually wore like armor slipped. It was a fleeting look, a flash of something in her eyes, a longing, a recognition, that wasn't meant for me. I walked over, my voice deceptively calm. Everything okay, Lena? I placed my hand possessively on the small of her back. She stiffened immediately. Perfectly fine. Daniel was just telling me about his trip to Rome. Daniel, sensing the sudden coldness, excused himself quickly. As soon as he was gone, I turned to her, dropping my hand. It seems like you have no trouble opening up to strangers, but when it comes to me, you lock the door and swallow the key. Her eyes flashed with anger, but underneath it, I saw panic. That's an absurd accusation. What is this about? It's about the fact that I trust you implicitly. I spat out, the words laced with frustration. I leave my entire life exposed. My phone, my past, my vulnerabilities. But yours? It's a vault. And I don't know who or what you're protecting in there. She took a shaky breath, her jaw tight. For a long, charged moment, I saw the temptation in her eyes, the sudden urge to confide, to break down the wall. The space between us hummed with the desire to be honest, and the fear of what that honesty would unleash. The intensity of the conflict was almost a physical weight. Instead of confessing, she lunged toward me, grabbing my tie and pulling me close, her voice a low, fierce challenge in my ear. Stop asking questions, she whispered, her lips brushing my skin. Just trust what you feel right now. It was a desperate plea, a distraction, and an undeniable pull. I could feel her body trembling against mine, the breaking point near, and I knew that if I gave in to this raw, forbidden tension, the truth would remain buried, possibly forever. The fight at the party had left a residue of frantic, unsettling energy between us. To smooth things over, Lena suggested a weekend getaway to a secluded cabin upstate, a place far from watchful eyes and judging silence. It was meant to be a reset, but it felt more like a cage designed to force a confrontation. We arrived late Friday night. The cabin was small, rustic, and cozy, heated only by a crackling fireplace, forcing an immediate, intense physical proximity. The air was cold, but the atmosphere inside was hotter, thicker than any summer day. We hadn't spoken more than necessary on the drive up, the silence amplifying the tension until it felt like a visible entity in the room. We stood facing the fire, the flickering light casting long, dancing shadows that made the room feel smaller, more intimate. I turned and found her already watching me, her expression unreadable, a blend of yearning and deep, agonizing fear. The question about her secrets was hanging between us, a heavy curtain we both desperately wanted to tear down. I took a step toward her. The firelight caught the slight sheen of tears in her eyes. Lena, I began, my voice rough. I can't do this half in, half out anymore. I need to know why. Tell me what's so important that you can't share it with me. She shook her head slowly, a single tear tracking a path down her cheek. You won't understand, she whispered, her voice barely audible over the hiss of the logs. You think I want to keep this from you? It's killing me, but I have to. The raw confession of pain, the vulnerability in her voice, instantly dissolved my anger. All I felt was overwhelming love and the need to protect her, even from her own secrets. I closed the distance and wrapped my arms around her. She clung to me instantly, her grip desperate, burying her face into my chest. Just one more night, she pleaded, her body trembling against mine. Just let me forget it for one more night. It was the ultimate temptation, to accept the intoxicating closeness she offered, to lose myself in the promise of her love, and ignore the glaring, dangerous truth. We moved toward the bedroom, the unspoken secret a vibrant, buzzing entity right there with us. Just as we reached the doorway, her phone, which she'd never left out in the open, buzzed loudly on the wooden bedside table. It was face up this time, momentarily abandoned in the rush of the moment. And in the split second before Lena could react, before she could snatch it away, I saw the screen light up with a single, damning notification. It was a message, and the name that flashed across the top was Daniel. The name, Daniel, hung in the air between us, a sudden, blinding flash of reality. It was the same Daniel from the engagement party, the one who had made her laugh and made my blood boil with jealousy. The phone screen was bright, impossible to ignore, showcasing the damning first line of the message. We need to talk. He's getting suspicious. Lena froze instantly, her entire body recoiling from my touch as if struck by lightning. Her eyes flew to the phone, then darted back to mine, and in that brief, horrifying moment, the facade completely shattered. All the carefully guarded secrets, the strange withdrawals, the locked-down life, they coalesced into one gut-wrenching realization. Give me the phone, she demanded, her voice flat and strained, reaching for the device. But I was faster. The passion and intimacy of the last few minutes evaporated, replaced by a searing, white-hot fury. I snatched the phone, holding it high and out of her reach. No. Not this time. You want to keep your life a secret? Fine. I'll read the chapter you refused to let me see. She lunged, not in anger, but in pure, desperate terror, trying to wrestle the device from my grasp. Stop. Don't do this. Please, just listen to me, she cried, the tears finally flowing freely. Her struggle was raw, physical, and laced with a terrifying desperation that was almost more agonizing than the message itself. I pushed her back gently, my heart hammering against my ribs, feeling both repulsion and an overwhelming, sick need to know the truth. I opened the message thread. The texts were a dizzying timeline of clandestine meetings, shared intimate details about our relationship, and coded language. It wasn't just an emotional affair, they were clearly meeting when she claimed she was working late, or visiting family. The betrayal was complete, absolute. I looked up from the screen, my breath catching. The woman standing before me, the one I had just been about to share my life with, was a stranger. Daniel? I repeated the name, the word tasting like ash. You've been cheating on me? This whole time, the secrets, the locked phone, it was him? Lena dropped to her knees, sobbing uncontrollably. No, please, it's not what you think. It started before you, but then we tried to end it, it got complicated. I barked a bitter laugh. The man who smiled in my face at the party, the man you were laughing with, while planning when you'd next sneak away from me? How long, Lena? How long have you been letting me live a lie? The emotional energy was explosive, a devastating mix of pain, lust, and betrayal. She slowly lifted her head, her face stained with tears, and the look in her eyes was one of pure, conflicting desire. I love you, she choked out, her voice breaking. But Daniel, he's my past. I can't just cut him out. He's tied up in everything I was hiding. What are you hiding? I demanded. The cheating is the only secret here, isn't it? And that's when the real twist came, the one that made the affair seem like a mere distraction. She shook her head, her eyes wide and pleading. No, she whispered, the secret finally being forced out of her lips. The affair? That's just a symptom. The real reason I couldn't leave my phone unlocked, the reason I'm tied to Daniel, is that he's not my lover. He's my handler. I can't cut him out because I'm not who you think I am. I've been working undercover for months, and I was using your apartment as a safe house. The word undercover echoed in the small cabin, instantly transforming the romantic hideaway into a dangerous, sterile stage. My shock was absolute, replacing the fiery rage with a chilling disbelief. I stared at the phone in my hand, the messages now viewed through an entirely new, terrifying lens. Handler? Undercover? What in God's name are you talking about, Lena? She rose slowly from the floor, her tears now controlled, replaced by a hardened, professional composure I had never witnessed. I'm with a federal task force, she explained, her voice low and steady. I was tracking a major financial fraud ring. Your apartment, its location, the access, it was the perfect cover for a surveillance hub. Daniel isn't my lover, he's my superior officer. We were communicating about the operation, not an affair. A tidal wave of emotions hit me, relief that she hadn't betrayed my heart, instantly overshadowed by the crushing realization that our entire relationship was founded on a colossal lie. So everything, the entire 6 months? The dates, the trips, the feeling, it was all part of the job? I demanded, my voice breaking. She stepped toward me, her face etched with genuine pain. No. That's the part one didn't plan. I came in intending to use you, but I fell for you. Hard. Every stolen moment, every late-night conversation, every touch, that was real. It was the only part of this I couldn't control. I backed away, needing space to process the dizzying whiplash of emotions. You lied. You let me open my life completely, trusting you with everything, while you were watching me, analyzing me, using my vulnerability to protect your secret. The jealousy and pain had transformed into a profound sense of violation. I know, she whispered, her eyes pleading for a level of understanding I couldn't yet give. But the messages. Daniel was getting worried because the case is breaking. He was warning me that you were becoming a liability, that my feelings for you were risking the operation. The getting suspicious part was about the suspect, not you. I couldn't tell you because it would have put both of us in danger. She walked to her bag and pulled out a small, laminated badge, displaying it for a moment before tucking it away. The evidence was irrefutable. The romantic tension that had defined our relationship was suddenly replaced by the dangerous, high-stakes adrenaline of her actual life. I have to leave tonight, she stated, her voice regaining its urgency. I need to go deep until the operation is over. I wanted this weekend to tell you everything, to beg you to wait for me, to give you a choice. She stood there, exposed and vulnerable, no longer the secretive girlfriend, but a woman facing a dangerous future, offering me a final, desperate chance at love. The decision was bold, life-altering. Could I forgive the deception and live with the terrifying reality of her profession, or would I walk away from the strongest connection I had ever known? The love was still there, a burning, undeniable fire, but it was now laced with fear and the devastating knowledge of her capability to lie. I looked at the love I had and the danger it promised, knowing the only true choice was in my hands. The cold air of the cabin felt strangely still after her confession. I looked at the woman who had just shattered and then rebuilt my entire reality within 5 minutes. The shock lingered, but beneath it, the furious current of love was already rushing back in. The lying had been professional, not personal, and the pain in her eyes was clearly for the genuine relationship she had risked. I walked slowly back toward her, stopping just inches away. I didn't reach out. The tension between us demanded a verbal bridge first. 6 months of deception, I stated, the words heavy but devoid of anger. But the fear I saw in your eyes tonight, the moment I grabbed the phone, that was real. You were terrified I'd leave. Her chin lifted slightly, a fierce determination replacing the panic. I am. Because what we have isn't part of the mission. It is my life now. You are my safe harbor, not your apartment. She reached for my hand, her touch hesitant this time, asking permission. I gave it, lacing my fingers through hers. The simple contact was a tender, binding promise after the storm. You're leaving tonight, I murmured, the weight of the reality settling in. Going deep. And you came here to tell me, knowing you might never see me again. I came here because I trust you with my life. Lena corrected me, her voice now a steady declaration of love and respect. You left your phone unlocked around me because you trusted me. I couldn't do the same because I was protecting you. Now, the tables are turned. I'm asking you to trust the one truth I've given you. I love you. I gently lifted her hand and pressed my lips to her knuckles, the action a silent vow of forgiveness and commitment. The danger was terrifying, but the love was stronger, forged in the heat of deception and revelation. I can't pretend this is easy, I admitted, my eyes searching hers. But I know what I feel. And I know you just risked a federal operation to tell me the truth. That's a bigger testament to your feelings than any unlocked phone. She smiled then, a tired but genuine smile that reached her hazel eyes, and the last remnants of the conflict dissolved. We moved into a fierce, final embrace, a silent covenant made amidst the danger. Come back to me. I whispered into her hair, holding her close, feeling the strong, professional woman melt into the vulnerable person I loved. I will, she promised fiercely. And when I come back, I'll be the only person you know. No secrets, no handlers, no locked doors. Just us. She pulled back, her composure returning as she kissed me, a deep, lingering kiss that was a mix of farewell, promise, and passion. She picked up her bag, now containing the weight of her reality, and headed for the door. She paused on the threshold, turning to look back at me, standing alone in the warm, firelit room. Keep your phone locked from now on, she joked, the lightness a welcome relief. You never know who might be watching. Then, she was gone. I walked over to the fireplace, picking up the small, polished stone she always carried in her pocket, a keepsake she'd left behind, a tangible piece of her truth. I put it in my own pocket, feeling the weight of the weight ahead, but completely satisfied. I finally knew why she left her phone locked, and in the end, it was the greatest proof of her love.